Hello and welcome to a DFS preview for the 2022 Open Championship. My name is Eric, and here at SweetSpotDFS, it's all about trying to hit the optimal lineup every single week. We start here in the preview video by targeting the stats that you're going to want to build your lineups around. I'll show you that through the bucket system, which if you're unfamiliar with that, I have a link in the description below that'll send you straight to a video that explains all about it. And you really only need to watch the first 5 minutes to get a good grasp of what the bucket system is all about. Now, I usually like to add, I'll go over the golf course as well as the tournament information and review last week's event just to show you how the sweet spot process did. But I just don't think any of that is very relevant this week. We already know the golf course. It's the old course at St. Andrews. There isn't an advantage you're going to know by the architect used or the golf course that it is because it's so highly dependent on wind to come to its defense. So I'm not going to sit here for 5 minutes and tell you about the golf course and what advantages you can get in your lineup building process, because there just isn't going to be one. Same applies with the tournament information. Usually I like to go over the average winning score, the average cut score, but since this is a rotation of golf courses and we don't see the old course until every 4 years or something like that, there's also no point in going over the tournament information. The strength of fields, 887. You can use that, or you can use that to whatever you want. But outside of that, I just don't think there's a purpose of going over the tournament information. Cut is top 65 in ties. So yeah, that's all that. And I'm not going to review last week's tournament because it's technically the first time it was played on the PGA Tour. And I didn't really have a bucket system to go with it. Now, I did have marquee tee times, which I can tell you right now, 2 golfers from the marquee tee times were in the optimal lineup, and they weren't in the same group. So it continues to follow through with the sweet spot process. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the strategy video that will also come out later today. So this is basically all about the buckets. Let's go ahead, let's dive into this. But first, let's start with giveaways. First one being a subscriber giveaway. If you want a chance to win $30, you got to be subscribed. Comment down below. Tell me your favorite golfer you want to build your lineups around this week, and you'll get a free entry. By the way, I'm going to be putting out a strategy video later today. If you comment on that one, you'll get an additional free entry. And then tomorrow when I put my prize picks video out, if you want one more entry, go comment on that one. So be subscribed, comment on all the videos I'm putting out. That way I can reward you guys for participating. And of course, we need to reach the goal of 450 subscribers before running this giveaway. Otherwise, we shave $10 off. All your entries from this week will go into next week's giveaway. And if whatever comes first, we get to 450 subscribers or it gets down to $10 for the giveaway. So you guys are going to win $10 one way or the other, but you have a chance to win 30 if we can get to 450 subscribers by the end of this week. The next giveaway that I like to do, and really this is a refund, if you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot, hold on, back up. You sign up on Prize Picks using the promo code SweetSpot and put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you that $20 back. Plus, Prize Picks will match your deposit up to $100, so that 20 turns into 40, and it'll only cost you that initial sign-up information as well as that initial deposit. But don't stop me there, or if you want to put $100 in your account, go for it. I'm still giving you $20 back, so your 80 will turn into 200. It's all up to you guys, but there's a link in the description below. Go sign up on Prize Picks, use the promo code SweetSpot. It's all good. Now, another thing I like to give away is a cheat sheet. And this really doesn't take anything from you guys other than going to the description of this video, finding the cheat sheet link, clicking on it, and going there. I just highly suggest you guys go to the file menu and make a copy. That way you can use all of the filters that I put in here, because I just have it currently set at read only. So you wouldn't be able to put a filter on it. You wouldn't be able to mark it up however you want. Go in here, make a copy. That way it's yours. That way you can use the filters as I go through this spreadsheet in the preview video as well as the strategy video. It's all for you guys. Plus, I also have the bucket system here. So when we go through the buckets, you guys can look at all this information the same time I do. I will also have an optimizer ready by the strategy video. So if you want access to that, be subscribed. Comment down below. Again, give me your favorite golfer you're building your lineups around this week. And then you're going to have to email me right there on the screen, sweetspotdfs@gmail.com, because I cannot contact you through your YouTube profile unless you set it to public, which most people don't. You can also, I guess, Twitter DM me and say that you're interested in it, but I'm still going to have to find your email address one way or the other to send you the optimizer because it's ran through on Microsoft Excel. So you do need the full Office version of that. You can't just have the reader. So if you don't have that, unfortunately, you can't use it. But if you do, it just takes you to be subscribed and participate on this channel to use the optimizer. Those are all the giveaways. Let's go ahead and get into this. Remember, not talking about the golf course, not talking about the tournament information. You should already know all about the Open Championship at the old course. Super simple stuff. Also, not reviewing last week's tournament. So we're jumping right into the buckets. And let's put those on the screen. So I like to just start out with each stat category and kind of do a little rundown of which stats you should be building your lineups around. And we're going to start by looking at last year's Open Championship results. Now, remember, I go back to 2013. And for this stat in particular, my data starts at 2013, so I obviously don't have this information in 2013. Let me run it backwards. If you have not yet seen that bucket system video, go check it out. You know these are all snapshots leading into the tournament. And I analyze all the data prior to the start of an event. So when I go back to 2013, we're looking at all the data going into 2013, taking a snapshot there, not looking at what happened at the Open Championship other than the results of the golfers. That way we can see, did last year's result at this event matter? That's how I analyze all this stuff. So if that was confusing before, all of my stuff is lead-in stats. I want to know what it looks like all the way up to the week before, and then analyze from there. Because I think analyzing the stats that happen at the event is foolish. That's fool's gold. Anyways, so when we look at last year's stats, obviously, first of all, look at the success rates to determine, which buckets really are successful. They're pretty watered down because I have a lot of data that's applied here, and it kind of tells you that you can have just about any finish from last year that you want. Now, I do have projections here, and that's one thing I want you guys to pay attention to, what the projections say. Remember, when we're looking at our minimum projection, we're always rounding down. So 1.68 turns into 1. And then for our max projection, we're always rounding up. This goes from 2.8 to 3. Now, I don't like to just show you that. I want you guys to see what the actual projections are. So I am projecting 1.68, at least 1.68 golfers that had a top 20 finish from last year's tournament, last year's Open Championship, to finish inside the top 10 this week. And again, max projection is 2.81. But we allow a little bit of leeway because you can't really be that exact. 1 to 3 is a pretty good number. Now, there is one caveat to this. If I look at my miscellaneous information and I see that the average salary is over $8,300, which is your average salary that DraftKings allows you to build with. Also, so if that's over $8,300, and then the bucket, if the golfers in there are 50%, if this number is 50% or greater of 9K golfers in that bucket, then I actually reduce the projections by 1. And that has a lot to do with kind of just what I've learned over the years. You can't have, like, if it's a very high salary bucket, like if the golfers are really expensive in that bucket, you can't own them all. They all could actually finish inside the top 10, but you could not put them all in your lineup. So that's why we have to dial it back with our projections. But we don't have to with anything in the last year bucket. So basically, find 1 to 3 golfers that top 20 this event last year. Likewise, find 0 to 2 golfers who finished somewhere between that 20 to 40 range. Same applies between that 40 to 60 range. 0 to 1, 60 to 80 range. This is usually just bad golfers in general, or maybe there are good golfers that just had a bad finish. More often than not, you don't see a lot of golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. So you could ignore it if you wanted to, but I'm giving a little bit of leeway up to one golfer from this bucket in your lineup. But again, 0 to 1. So you don't have to have a golfer from that bucket. And then the next two buckets are also 0 to 2. And if you're new, the reason why this is 0 instead of 1, because obviously I told you to round down, is because these max projections aren't greater than 2. And I always like to kind of leave a little 2-point gap between my minimum and my maximum. Again, this is just over the years of looking at the bucket system. I know if I were to tell you 1 to 2, the likelihood is, yeah, there probably is going to be 1. And it's going to finish inside the top 10, which would satisfy these projections, but probably not going to be rosterable. And it's not going to help you win a GPP. So that's what I've learned over the years. 0 to 2. So let's just take a quick glance. I really haven't done this in the past because it usually takes up too much time. You can follow me along once again using the filters that I have, and we can look at our last year buckets. Why don't we just go ahead and filter top down and then take out all the golfers that are actually out. Perfect. And so you can see, how about this? Let's just actually remove all the buckets except for last year 1 buckets. So we had 21 golfers in this bucket, and it's headlined by Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth. So 4 out of the 6 10K golfers are in here. Good chance one of these guys will finish inside the top 10. So right away, picking one of these guys to be in your lineup is probably a good idea. Now, we also have some 9 and 8K golfers, which are pretty good, like, glue to the lineup, if I were to call it that. Maybe not your foundational pieces, but definitely what holds it together really well. And you've got some good choices here. I mean, some very questionable ones like Dustin Johnson and Victor Hovland. Shane Lowry, I know a lot of people like this week. Oosthuizen, don't mind him. And then skipping down a little bit, like, you've got some good 7K golfers to consider. So this is a really good bucket, and obviously we said there's going to be 1 to 3 golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good number. It could be even larger than 3, but more likely in the optimal lineup, it'll be somewhere between 1 to 3. Now the rest of them, none of them are like buckets you absolutely have to play golfers from, but we can certainly look at what a last year 2 looks like. JT, one of your other 10K golfers, Xander, who's on a heater, Matt Fitzpatrick. 0 to 2 golfers from this bucket. So if you wanted to even start here, that'd be fine. Max Homa's here. He's a good glue piece to put in your lineup because he's at that 7K range. But yeah, do as you please. And then I think another 0 to 2 would be this one. Obviously, Rory McIlroy's here. So I would say this: if you like Rory this week, perhaps play Rory and just remove all these guys from your player pool. Don't play these guys. Now, you can play up to 1 more, but I think you could probably just remove them from your list. Remember our last year 4? This was 0 to 1, and really there's 2 golfers to consider, Sam Burns and Ryan Fox. So if you like any of these guys here, only play one of them. Remove the other guys from your player pool. And then I think last year 5 was 0 to 2. Have some interesting guys up here. Everyone's in the 7K range or lower except for Will Zalatoris, Patrick Cantlay, and Earl Hatton. So that's really interesting because I do usually like to play golfers from the last year 5 bucket, which are your missed cuts from the year before. So super interesting. Definitely worth a consideration. Moving on, going from last year 5s to our last year 6s. These are golfers who did not play last year in the Open Championship. And it could be rookies. It could be golfers that just had to take last year off because of injury or whatever. Tiger Woods is there. Remember, 0 out of 2, or I shouldn't say 0 out of 2, 0 up to 2 golfers you want to build your lineups with in this range. So if you do like 2, don't select more than 2. And for those that are kind of skeptical of my projections, yeah, you certainly could put up to 3 or even 4 if you really want to, but I think my projections have been 94% correct over the span of 62 weeks. So I would rather play my percentages rather than just happenstance. But if you're feeling good about 3 guys, play your 3 guys. I'm not gonna hold you against it. I'm just saying the odds are not in your favor. So those were all the golfers in the last year bucket to talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about last week. And why we talk about last week is because leading into this tournament might matter. And it depends on the golf course, really. Depends on what type of tournament it is. I shouldn't say the golf course. It really just depends on the tournament it is. Now, when we look at some of these buckets, having a top 20 finish last week is actually a good bucket to be in. So I'm projecting somewhere between 1 to 3. Now, having a finish anywhere outside, let's put it this way. Having a top 20 finish or a missed cut is where you want to be from last week's tournament. Anything in between, super volatile. And really, there's not a lot of golfers to choose from. There's 23 in total of the golfers smushed in between. But you don't want more than one golfer from any of those buckets. And we'll go over some of those guys. Rahm is going to be in one of those. A missed cut is a good thing, and not playing is a really good thing. So when we go over our anchor buckets, the did not plays won't be one. This one's really close. The missed cuts, definitely the last week ones, which are your top 20s from last week. Those are golfers you want to play. But when we look at this, obviously our last week ones, Jordan Spieth, top 20. Xander Schauffele won the tournament last week. Matt Fitzpatrick. So we want somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers from this bucket to be in our lineup. Probably another good one to start with, especially like Jordan Spieth. He covers your last year one. He covers your last week one. So he's in both of those buckets we already talked about that are good. And I really don't mind Jordan Spieth at this event. It fits him really well. Yeah, you've got a lot of other guys like Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick. A lot of these guys that are last year twos, you gotta be careful about. Actually, hold on. Let's sort this back by salary. Cameron Smith is up there. Patrick Cantlay is up here. 1 to 3 guys. So this 9K range, hey, if you want to start with 2 golfers here, I'm not going to hold that against you. Remember, I usually like to build my lineups 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, but you can make up to 2 substitutions. You can sub a 10 down to a 9, and then maybe I could sub a 6 up to a 7. So I could play with 2 9Ks, an 8K, and 3 7s, or maybe I go 2 9s, 2 8s, 2 7s, and a 6, or 2 9s, 2 8s, 7 is yeah, it would be like a 7 and a 6. Either way, you can make up to two substitutions. So this 9K range looks pretty good, and it's in a bucket that you really want to choose golfers from. Now, there are other golfers that I like that are 7K and less that I would like to glue my lineups with, but I don't mind starting with one of these guys up top as kind of my anchor plays. Like if you liked Spieth and say Cantlay and you wanted an additional one, I don't mind like a Thomas Dietrich or even a Kurt Kitayama or any of these guys really. So it's totally up to you guys. Fleetwood makes a good choice as well for an 8K golfer. Just take that into account. And oh, by the way, the optimizer will do all of this work for you. You don't even have to remove any of the golfers you don't want. You can use the optimizer to basically limit how many golfers you can select from one of these buckets. So I love the optimizer because of that. Looking at the other buckets, remember last week twos, you only want up to 1 of these guys. So if you liked Hatton and Gary Woodland, I'd suggest not. Highly suggest not. Same goes with like Keith Mitchell. Limit yourself to 1 of these guys. Limit yourself to 1 of these guys. So if you like Rahm, say bye to Ryan Fox. Say bye to Hao Talong. And probably not the rest of these guys. But yeah, that's how I would also look at this. And then last week 4s, the other one was 0 to 1. There's Sam Burns, there's Corey Connors. If you're peppering the 8K range like my buddy Chad Eckert, which will be on the strategy video later today, not a good idea with these 2 guys. Maybe one of them, but not both. But a missed cut, remember, is another good one to choose from. And you've got Scotty Scheffler, you've got JT, and you have Colin Morikawa. These are guys that missed the cut at the Scottish Open. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You want 1 to 3 of these guys. So double check on that one, 1 to 3. So, but then there's also a lot of other good names. Cam Young, Robert McIntyre. I mean, this is a very provocative bucket to choose golfers from. Nikolai Højgaard is down here. He's a pretty good 6K golfer. So I think this is a bucket that you really need to make stands in. 1 to 3. So personally, I'm probably going to skip these 10K golfers and choose like maybe a Jordan Spieth or a Rory McIlroy, if I'm being quite honest. because I would much rather go down to the 7K range from this bucket and select my golfers from here. But again, you get to mix and match however you like. If you want to start Colin Morikawa and then Victor Hovland, probably a very low owned combo, and it fits the bucket projections. So again, entirely up to you guys. And then looking at our last week sixes, Rory is up here. Now, Rory honestly is in 2 buckets that aren't all that great. Like, this is going to be a big bucket to choose from. We're projecting somewhere between 2 to 5. So at least 2 guys, but this is a very volume driven bucket. So anybody from the 6K range could be in here. The 7K range could be anybody. But Rory McIlroy, I don't mind that. Tiger Woods is obviously here in this bucket. Some of these other names are really interesting. I'm going to stay away from Paul Casey. That back issue of his, I just don't trust. That's fine. I can full fade Paul Casey and feel totally fine about it. But yeah, there's some interesting names in here. DJ, Louis, Bryson, your guys from the Live Tour, Abram Answer, obviously. It's a very intriguing bucket, to say the least. Okay, moving on. Going to the course history buckets. Now, my course history goes back to 2015 because I believe you need at least 2 years of data for course history. And again, these are snapshots before the start of an event. So 2013, there's no course history to use. 2014, we'd only have 2013 stats. I don't like using that for course history. Those are last year stats. And then 2014 and 2013, that's okay. So in 2015 is when I started tracking course history. And it would just be your average between 2014 and 2013. So just to, remove any questions about that. All right, so course history ones. Having good course history, does that matter? Well, I'm projecting somewhere between 0 to 2. So golfers that have a top 20 finish on average at this event, 0 to 2 of those guys. I'll go through the buckets first and then come back. Same applies for that 20 to 40 range, 0 to 2. Course history 3, right in the middle, that 40 to 60 range. So this could be top 20s in here, could be missed cuts to go with it as well. Or guys that just average that 40 to 60 range, somewhere in there. Probably not that. I would assume there's probably top 20s that normally find their way from this bucket inside the top 10. Your 60 to 80 range, 0 to 2. A missed cut is not a good average finishing position at this event. So those that continue to miss the cut, or maybe just miss the cut once or twice or whatever, but are still in this bucket, high golfers to fade. And then did not plays, 0 to 2. Just barely though. Let's go ahead and look at this. Remember, the first 2 buckets were 0 to 2. So course history 1. These are the guys that have had a top 20 finish on average at the Open Championship. And it could be just one event that they've played. But you got Scheffler, Morikawa, Spieth, Hovland, Finau, McIntyre, and Hughes. 0 to 2 from these golfers. I would feel way more comfortable just selecting one of them and building your lineups from there. But like a Spieth Finau or a Spieth McIntyre start actually sounds pretty good. 0 to 2. It's probably more likely that it's going to just be one though. Okay. So moving on from there, course history 2, again, 0 to 2. We've got McIlroy, Xander, DJ, Brooks, and then a bunch of 7K golfers and below, which that's good golfers to choose your glue from. I do like Rory this week. Hard not to play Rory. And if I don't play Rory, I'm going to be playing Xander. I just don't feel comfortable with DJ or Brooks. I don't care. And then my glue pieces, I can just mix and match whenever I want. So I don't mind. But I think it's Rory or it's Xander for me. So I'm thinking when I make my anchor picks, it's going to be one of these guys. And it's probably going to be Xander if I'm honest. I know he's going to be really high owned, but hard not to consider playing Xander. But maybe it'll be Rory. We'll see. Course history 3, this was like 4 to 6 golfer, or not, no. 2 to 4. I jumped the gun. 2 to 4 golfers from this bucket you want in your lineup. A lot of good names. Rahm, JT. Remember, there were instances where Rahm could be the only guy to pick, but as long as these other golfers aren't in that same bucket with them, you can select them. But either way, Rahm, JT, Fitzpatrick, Cam Smith, Patrick Cantlay, a lot of good guys. So what do we have? 10 golfers, 8K and above. Probably where your glues or a lot of your foundations right here. I kind of liking the prospects of like going either Rory Cantlay or Xander Cantlay. I think that this makes me feel good. Same kind of goes with Cameron Smith too. We have Tiger in this bucket. We have Thomas Peters, who I like. Ryan Fox was one of those guys in one of those buckets that you can only select one from. Is that the same as Rahm? I think it was the last week 3. So yeah. So you still can't go Rahm, Ryan Fox here. Not that that's like a duo to constantly talk about, or it doesn't seem like it was a popular one, but I'm just throwing it out there in case it was for you guys. But yeah, a lot of good names there. Course history 4, I think we just wanted 0 to 1. 0 to 2. Sam Burns is here. Remember, he's not a very highly looked upon golfer when it comes to these buckets, so curb your expectations. And then Hatton, DeChambeau, Neiman, interesting names. 0 to 2. It's a hard one to choose from. There aren't a lot of golfers. I mean, we have 4 golfers 8K and above, and they're all in the 8K range. I'm probably staying away from Abe Answer. And I really don't like the rest of these guys, if I'm being honest. So it's probably going to be 0 for me. Maybe 1. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like that bucket. Let's see. So course history 5, 0 to 1, and then 0 to 2. So course history 5, 0 to 1. Zalatoris and Sungjae are in here, as well as Sebastian Munoz. And a slew of I like a lot of these names. Like I like Jordan L. Smith. I like Victor Perez. 0 to 1. All right. Thomas Dietrich is a guy I really like too. So I think it's easy to fade Zalatoris and Sungjae this week, if I'm being quite honest. I don't mind that. And then 0 to 2, but probably just 1 golfer from the course history 6s. Make your pick. I mean, I'm probably just not looking at the 6K and down range. I'm probably looking up here and seeing if I like anybody that much. I really don't. So probably just letting the buckets, the optimizer just select one of these guys at random. I'm certainly not anchoring any of my plays around. All right, going to the recent form buckets now. And when we look at this, you really have 2 buckets that dominate, that recent form 2 and recent form 3 buckets. You want 2 to 4 from each of those buckets. Everything else is either 0 to 2 or 0 to 1. So go ahead and take a look. Recent form 1s, guys coming in with the best recent form. We want 0 to 2 of these guys, and probably just going to be 1. And there we go. Rory or Xander. Oh, Rory and Cantlay. Remember I said that was a combo I liked? Want 0 to 2. It's probably most likely just going to be one of these guys. Is it Spieth and then Xander or Cantlay? Is that the way to start lineups? Oh, and then there's Thomas Dietrich. Dang it. I do like Dietrich, so that's a bummer. We'll see what the optimizer spits out in the strategy video later today, but bummer. I really like these 3 guys right here, Rory, Xander, Cantlay. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't mind putting a bet on one of these 3 guys being in the optimal lineup. I have a really good feeling that it's going to be one of these 3 guys. Yeah, okay. That's a bummer. All right, so recent form 2, we want 2 to 4 guys from this one. We got Spieth here, Rahm, Scheffler. I think it's Spieth. I think we're going Spieth. We're going Spieth, Xander, or Spieth, Cantlay, and I think those are my anchor plays this week. I think that's what we're doing. We also have Cam Smith. I do like Cam Smith this week. A lot of good guys. There's Peters, Smith, Aaron Wise. Good bucket from here. Recent form 3. This is going to be more of a volume-driven bucket. I'm sure there's a lot of golfers here. Actually, I don't think so. Never mind. 49. So it's pretty big still. The biggest recent form bucket that we have. Oh, I bet you some of the out guys are in the bucket. No? Recent form 3. I'm trying to think because I'm only counting 39, so I'm hoping we have the right numbers. $30. 49. Okay, so Matsuyama's my last guy. $40 down to Matsuyama. So what is snagged here? I must have a filter somewhere. Has to. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. So Adam Scott would be my top guy. I know what it is. I'm gonna have to update this. Still have the correct guys at the top. So, okay, so my normal weekly process just looks at PGA Tour events, and I think that's all that I have here are the PGA Tour. And for the guys that are at the top, we don't have to really worry about that. But you can see Jamie Donaldson's here, and he is the right group. Could I be looking at the wrong thing? Bear with me. I'm going to figure this out so I don't give you the wrong information. So I need to look at where the buckets are looking at. AB86. AB. Looking at H. Should be right. Is right. So what the Oh, this is maddening, guys. I am so sorry that this is taking forever. I want to make sure that the right golfers. What is that? What is going on? 60. Be my first guy, so I don't think I have Stenson there. Let's figure out why Stenson's. Yeah, he's not there. So where is Stenson? He's down here. We have him as a recent form 5. Why? Okay. I think I have a real easy fix to that. Because I don't change anything on my spreadsheet, and I will update this also. I think I can go like this, go all the way down, copy, all the way up. We can't. Is that why? This is so unbelievable. 1040. What? Oh, I see. I'm copying. We got it. We got it, guys. We got it. We got it. Let's go ahead and update these manually. The projections are going to be the same, by the way, so we don't have to really worry about that. And if you're wondering why I can do this just as easy as I'm doing it, is because I know that the data is correct. Because everything goes by that page I was just showing you, the recent form page. How maddening that. Crazy. Glad to have fixed it though. Again, sorry about the long wait. But now we get to talk about this correctly. It's all sixes. Yeah. Cool. Let's go back to the ones. Recent form ones. We have this correct now. 7 golfers. I think that we already had this correct. Same guys. Sort by set. Recent form 2s. I think probably the same guys. Not absolutely sure. No, we did make some updates. So do we see anybody that's different? Spieth is still there. We were talking about Spieth, how we liked him. Yeah. Okay. Actually, Thomas Dietrich's here now. So that was a big change. So we actually had the right number of recent form 1s, but Thomas Dietrich was in this one with Rory and Xander and Patrick, but now he's not. Thomas Peters is. Okay. Good to know. Let's move to recent form 3s. We were just here. This is where we figured out everything was incorrect. I think we should have 49 golfers now. And that we do. Very good. Love when the spreadsheets work. Wonderful. Anyways, what do we have? 8 golfers that are $8,000 and above. And this is a bucket you want 2 to 4 golfers from. So this one's harder for me. I like Louis a lot. Gonna probably stay away from Zalatoris this week. I don't care for JT or Colin, if I'm being honest. And I'm also staying away from Sung J M. So I might go Louis and one of these 7K golfers. This might be a bucket that wins someone a GPP. Like getting the right amount of golfers to select. And it could be like Hideki Matsuyama. Could be Brooks Koepka. Who knows? Going to recent form 4s, and I think we want, what, 0 to 2? Yeah, 0 to 2 from this one. Hovland's in this bucket. Hatton, DeChambeau. I'm just going to say you want no more than 1. Because I don't like any of these golfers in here. And I mean, that's not a real reason that you should not choose one, but I think it's pretty decent. So anyways, we're just going to go ahead and stay away from the recent form 4s. Maybe Mark Leishman. Maybe. I don't mind that. Recent form 5s, you want 0 to 1 of these guys. Kokrek's in there. Henley's in there. Hoagie. Højgaard. A lot of low price guys. So you can probably just ignore that one. And then 0 to 6s, guess what? We're going to see Tiger Woods in this one. Paul Casey. We want 0 to 1 guy golfers in this from this bucket. 0 to 1. Now the rest of these names, probably not even worth it. From Anthony Quayle down, probably just stay away from these guys. Gonna find if there are any considerations. Doesn't look like it. Scott Vincent's okay for 1 or 2 lineups. Probably gonna stay away from Brad Kennedy, and if it's not Tiger, it's probably nobody, if I'm being honest. So those are recent form buckets. Sorry that took so long. I will put something in the timestamps that'll say, hey, skip this portion right, and then come back. Anyways, from here, we go to salaries and strokes gained buckets. So let's actually just go strokes gained first, and then talk about salaries and past optimal lineups. So when it comes to my strokes gained stats, this is a little bit different. Again, highly encourage you guys to go watch the bucket system video. But when it comes to the projections here, we want all the best golfers, essentially. Golfers with all positive strokes gained stats. 2 to 4 of those guys. 0 to 2 that have positive off tee, positive putting, and whatever stat in between, whether it's negative around the green or it's negative approach. Those all fit under this bucket. Strokes gained 3, positive off the tee, negative putting, and it doesn't matter what stats in between. Strokes gained 4 are negative off the tee guys with positive putting. Both of these last 2 buckets I just talked about, you want somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers from those buckets. So you definitely want to choose one from one of those, and then the rest of them are like, probably just skip. But when you go there, all of these are actually color coded. Like all of my colors on here in columns D through H are all color coded based off of the strokes gained stats. So your dark greens are your strokes gained 1s. And so we have 21 golfers in that bucket. Double check that one. Yep. And we want somewhere between 2 to 4. Gotta double check that. Oh, 2 to 5. Oh, no, 2 to 4. 2 to 4. So, already said I like Rory. I like Xander. I like Cantlay. I don't mind Fleetwood. Gonna stay away from Sung Jae this week. He now seems like an interesting play. Gonna stay away from Burns as well. You know, that one bucket, the Rory and Xander in, the recent form 1s. I don't mind anchoring, like starting there and anchoring lineups there, because if you truly want 2 to 4 golfers from this bucket, there's a lot of them that we can just kind of like from the other buckets. Sam Burns, not a good candidate. Sung Jae, not a good candidate. And then Will Zalatoris was not a good candidate. So those are guys I think we can just cross off the list. And that makes building a little bit easier because some of these other names I also don't really care for. I don't care for DJ. So it's like it's Cantlay or Lowry. I also don't mind going to Fitzpatrick or Xander Schauffele. Those are all names I could play. And I don't care for any of these guys in the 7K range. I really don't. This is where I think we anchor, where we find our anchors. And I don't mind doing Rory Cantlay, like I said before. Or Rory Xander. And if it's not them, maybe it's Xander and Cantlay. Or maybe this is where we put Finau or Fleetwood in our lineups. Who knows? Strokes gained 2. We want 0 to 2 golfers from this bucket. Again, Rahm is in this bucket, which just kind of, he's been in a lot of buckets that have 0 to something. 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. So it makes it like less of a confidence play for me. So I don't know. And same goes with Hovland. I don't like any of these guys. I don't like Koepka, I don't like Hovland, and I don't like Rahm this week. I also don't like DeChambeau. So really, I'm considering Corey Connors, Max Homa, and then dropping. Like I don't like Abram Answer. I don't like Paul Casey this week. I do like Thomas Dietrich, and that's why I keep bringing his name up. So we'll see. But 0 to 2 golfers from there, but more likely just 1. Strokes gained 3. This is a big one. I think we want, actually this is 1 to 3. Spieth is here. So is Morikawa. So is Oosthuizen. Peters is here. Then a lot of low price guys. I don't mind starting with Spieth. To me, it's Rory McIlroy or Spieth in the 10K range that I want to build my lineups around. Then going from there. So up to you guys, whatever you want to do. Strokes gained 4, we want 1 to 3 golfers from that one. Go ahead and put strokes gained 4 out here. Cam Smith, your high price guy there. Remember, his driver is very erratic, very inaccurate. That's okay at this golf course. So I don't mind playing someone like a Cam Smith this week. Very interesting. Probably going to stay away from Hatton. Mark Leishman's an interesting play. And again, we want what? 1 to 3. So this is like you want to select a golfer from here somewhere. Very interesting. Like I wouldn't mind anchoring around Cam Smith and then just like not letting the optimizer select any more from this bucket. But there are some interesting names nonetheless. Like I don't mind Victor Perez. I don't mind Kevin Kisner. I don't mind Danny Willett, Harris English. Stay away from Cameron Tringali because that guy's a loser. Interesting. Not not a lot of good names in this bucket. So, oh my gosh, maybe Cam Smith is an anchor play. I really don't like the rest of any. 1 to 3. Ooh. And then you basically just stay away from these guys. And if you do play any of them, just play one. So if you do like Tiger, don't put McIntyre in there. Don't put Westwood. Don't put Fox. Don't do any of those guys. Same with Højgaard. And then strokes gained 6s. Just avoid. Looks like. Completely avoid. Okay, so now let's go to salaries. We'll talk about the good salaries that you want to be picking your lineups around, and then we'll go into pass optimal lineups and then end this video. So when it comes to building your lineups, remember I usually like to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, and that's kind of what our projections are kind of showing. Definitely going to have a 10K golfer inside the top 10 this week. It's just, I think that's a no-brainer. There's 6 of them. One of them will finish inside the top 10. So just starting there, anchoring your lineups around one of them, probably the best way to go. 9Ks. 0 to 2, very close to 1 to 3. That 9K range is very strong, but it's not strong enough to have these projections high enough to make sure you want 1. It's pretty close. 8K range is where it really falters. 0 to 2, and it is not a high confident bucket. So like probably just one golfer from this one, no more. From the 8K range. 7K range, somewhere between 2 to 4. So 7K range I think will dominate this week. And then 6s, your high 6, 0 to 2, and your low 6, 0 to 1. So that's pretty normal. That's pretty normal from tournament to tournament. But the most important thing to me is, or the most interesting thing to me, 0 to 2 8K golfers. So let's go ahead and take a look at pass optimal lineups just to give you a little bit more confidence and selecting your team this week. I'm gonna go ahead and just hide all of these columns and bring in our optimal lineup. So from 2017, your optimal lineup had Jordan Spieth at 11.6, Brooks Koepka at flat 9. Whoa, my bad. I'm giving you the sweet spot optimal. Jordan Spieth at 11.6. Matt Kuchar at 72, Haotong Li at 64, Rafa Cabrera-Bello at 67, and then Rory at 11. So you had 2 11K golfers in your lineup with 3 6Ks and 1 7. That was your optimal lineup. But of course, that's too difficult to get to. I don't suggest that. So that's why I create a sweet spot optimal. That one was Spieth at 11, Koepka at 9, Grace at 8, your 2 7s, and then a 6K. And that was 50,000 on the button. So going that 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, smart route to go. Let me hide these once again. Your optimal lineup in 2018, I didn't even have to create a sweet spot optimal because it just kind of followed along with what we wanted. It was a 10K and above golfer, 2 8K golfers, 2 7K golfers, and a 6K. And I guess Chappell wasn't the guy I was. Who else was not in the said it was? Oh, Rose. Either way, it still works the same. A 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6. So your normal traditional build. And then looking at 2019, the optimal lineup, again, I mean, so I didn't talk about this, but every one of these, 49,000 something. 49.2, but you could go up to 50 and still have all your guys inside the top 10. 49.7 in 2018, and 2019 was 49.6 for your optimal lineup. And that one included 2 9Ks, and the rest of them 7Ks. So that was a very balanced build. Your Millie Maker lineup had an 11K golfer, a 9K, 3 7s, and a 6K golfer, down in 40th place. So it's very close to that sweet spot optimal. Let's see, can we go 10, 9, 7, 7, 6? Don't have a lot of money left. No, you can't. Not everyone inside the top 10. But I mean, I could go to like Tom Lewis. This was 49,800. So that was a 10-9, 7-7-6-6 lineup. That's a hard one to get to. So we can't do a 10-9-8, 7-7-6. There's nothing inside the top 10 that's 8K. So yeah, that was an interesting lineup build. And then 2021. Optimal lineup left $1,500 on the table. And that included 2 9K golfers. 3 9Ks, I'm sorry. A 6, a 6, and a 7. That's really hard to get to. Don't suggest that. Instead, more of a realistic optimal lineup had 3 9Ks, an 8K, and 2 6Ks. So how I talked about that 10-9-8, 7-7-6 and making up to 2 substitutions, well, you can sub one of your 7Ks up to a 9K. Oh, this made 3. It would have been a 10 down to a 9, 7 up to a 9, and then a 7 down to a 6. So that doesn't work the way that I would normally want it to look like. So we can do a sweet spot optimal here. Or can we? 8, 9, 11, 6, 9, 11, 6, 7, 7, 49, 9. There you go. Here's your sweet spot optimal. So you could go 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 last year and probably would have taken down the Millie Maker. Let's double check. Highlight all the guys that I just did and then unhighlight the guy here. 541 points. No, Millie Maker still would have won. Wow, that's crazy. Well, not every golfer inside the top 10 scores more points than the rest of the guys down here. You can see Harmon scored 82.5, and I selected someone that was 74.5, Scotty Scheffler, so that wasn't doable. And then, nope, they have all 6 of their guys. So, yep, couldn't do the sweet spot optimal there. Can't go 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Didn't work out. Go to, nope, we can't. Okay, so anyways, those are your pass optimal lineups. I still suggest going 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, making some substitutions from there. I still think just making up to 2. I think you can still go 2 9s, 1 6, and 8 7 most likely would probably work out. And then what do we need? One more, another 9. I guess you got to go 3 9s. Have to. So you could go 3 9s, 2 7s, and a 6. Does this actually do 576? No, we'd be 2 points behind first place. All right, that's all that I have. Sorry about the long mix-up in the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and take the display off. Remind you of all the giveaways that I have. $30 could be yours. Be subscribed, comment down below. If you want to play Prize Picks for free, put $20 or sign up using the promo code SweetSpot. Put $20 in your account, and you'll get $20 back from me. Plus, Prize Picks will match your deposit up to $100, so that 20 turns into 40. Super simple. And again, you're gonna follow along with me throughout this whole video with the cheat sheet that I provide in the description below. The link is in the description, I should say. Go ahead, go check it out, make a copy of it. That way you can follow along with me. During the strategy video a little bit later today, I will have Chad Eckert on from the Fantasy Golf Pod, and I'll bounce off my sweet spot process stimmed and see how well it sticks. But that is all that I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.